おはようございます。おはようございます。I'm getting a bit of flaring on the top of this camera from the light up there. So I put a little post on top. It keeps falling down and covering the lens. Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing? I hope everyone had a good weekend. We are here today. It is Tuesday morning. Ohayo. Welcome. Got to get to it. I finally got the blocks on, when was it? Friday. That's why sorry about the last stream. I had to go to Mokahankan. And so on Friday I went to prep some blocks. Dave glued them up, but they needed cutting and finishing. So I went and I did that. If I can flick over to the other camera and show you them maybe. That's one. I haven't chosen which ones I'm going to be using yet, but I think I got a really nice finish on them. How did you finish them? I did 4 different grits. I started 150, then 250, a 400, and then an 800 on just a belt sander. And I did the 800 3 times wet. I didn't use a scraper, no. Yeah, so I did the last pass on the 800. I wet everything, let all the little fibers come up, sanded it. I did that 3 times. And now they're pretty shiny. They're not quite planed, like the same finish as you get from a plane, but I think these are going to be more than good enough. I'm really quite happy with how they turned out, actually. I haven't looked at these since Friday, so I do have a scraper, but I didn't use it. So today we're not actually going to be. I don't think we'll get to the blocks pasting things down. We're going to start by doing some color transfers. I've cut some paper. Ooh. I've cut some paper here, and I have the transfers I need to prepare. Like I mentioned before, I've already done one color block, well, 2. So this one's done. And I'm going to be moving on to, I think there's 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. That should be it. And then I have the seal, I've done shadow and pink, that's done. Yeah, so 4 more. 4 more. How is everyone doing? I had a very nice morning with my son. He was very sweet this morning. Let's get printing. Do I have enough ink? Yeah, we should be good. I have my brushes, my pen, music on. Oh, the post-it note bar. Maybe we'll just deal with the flare. Welcome in. Good morning. Is that music good level? A little bit quiet, maybe. Just crank that up a little bit. I think that's fine. Okay. Roll the sleeves up and let's get printing. I moistened a towel. This is a little shop towel. I've wet it before. I think it's been there for a little bit, but it's good practice to do this for like at least 5 minutes before. Soften the wood up, let the wood absorb a bit of the water. Might need to take this off. The brush is prepped. Wind. It's working. First time chatter, welcome in, Loki. Got my little card to protect the registrations. Let's get some ink. So I'll pull 4, maybe 5. The other way to do this, other than just covering it, is just to get your brush and just do this for like 3 or 4 minutes. You can start with a bit of water or just go straight in with the ink. Either way is fine. Let's put some ink on there. We might do a test first. So I'm just warming the block up first. This weekend I was just carving, working on the Asuka Sensei projects. I can show you the block later. But I'm a good portion through one of the faces. Still got like quite a dense area to do, and then the other side of the block. Just a piece of copy paper in my barren, just to test it. Sometimes you put too much water at the start, and then it means that it's not going to come out very dark. But I think we got a good density there, so we'll move on. We'll use the real paper now. Welcome in, Willie. Wood chips everywhere. No matter how much I dust myself off, I carry them through the house, you know. Is Asuka-sensei's block the same as the dots one? Yeah, it's more dots. All the images are basically stippled, like painting stippling. So they're all dots, dots, dots. There's a couple of lines in this one, so it's quite interesting. It's important with these transfers we don't smash the lines. So this is the usual Awazashi Gampi I use. It's dry, as always, so we've got to be careful when printing. There's our first impression. I'll focus in on it later. I don't want the block to dry out. That goes in the file, so the paper's staying the same level of moisture, hopefully. It's not really a big issue with prints that are this size. Touch more. My thumb's feeling a little bit sore this morning. Not the thumb, sort of the where can I show you? The joint sort of here. Which is a new one for me. I don't usually get that. When brushing, it's always the best way to clear the lines, either side of the lines, is to follow the direction of the lines, like that. When you're going across the grain, it sort of like picks up and drops. If you've carved it properly, it shouldn't really be a big issue, but it's always good to do the final pass, sort of following the lines. Of course, on areas like this where all the lines are going different directions, there is a pattern that's sort of like the best. You don't see people do this all the time. It's all about speed when you're printing. The best way to do it is first go with the grain, and then lastly a really soft one against the grain. But if you've got long lines like this, you just follow the lines. sure this corner. Lightly touch it first. With wet paper, it's got a bit more weight and it sort of like sags onto the lines. But with dry paper, there's a risk of it shifting and moving out of the registration, which is like catastrophic for us. Well, I say catastrophic, it's a bunch of work to fix the registration after carving. And you really shouldn't have to touch the registration if you've carved and placed everything in properly. Looking good. Sleeping Beauty. I don't actually know what the name of this print will be. Maybe we can submit that one. Although in truth, she's not the main focus of this print. The main focus doesn't actually have any lines, like black lines on it, so. Are we live? Yeah, we're live. Main eye-catching point is probably the pattern on the blanket. Gold star. I'm really not doing much pressure. I'm going light, but I'm going over it a few times because I just want to make sure I'm getting nice rich lines. How many is that? 3. Last one. Often I'll make an extra one, but I think we're going to be okay. This block is kind of easy to print, so if we do make a mistake with the color sheets, and of course we never make mistakes, but if we do, then we can just easily print another one. I've got some more paper cut. Weird texture on this paper. I don't know if that's visible to you guys. There's like waves. It looks like when it was put in the bath, the water might have like shifted the paper slightly. Because this paper is a combination of pulp and of a Gampi on the top, so that waviness seems to be only in the pulp. So it won't affect the transfer itself. What kind of, this is called, no, it's not Kikamasa. Awazashi Gampi. Awase no Gampi. Gampi, like combined Gampi. Combined? Is that correct? There we go. That's 4. And now we're done with the printing. quite a sore finger, you know. We're done with that. This is my honbaren. We'll talk a little bit more about some honbarens a little bit later. Why does everything seem so washed out? The white balance is way off today. Look at my hands. Always turn your barons. We can put this aside for now. Wow, it's so washed out. There's the print. Right, let's hold it up and then I can focus. Put that back in. Just before we get moving on to the other stuff, just clean my fingers. I'll show you the progress on some of the other blocks. It's good to let these settle just a second before I start drawing on top of them. Also, I mentioned, I just got this here, I mentioned that I couldn't find the actual ink brush drawing I did. It was in the scanner. The reason I couldn't find it is because I left it in the printer. So here was the final brushed version of the design I made for my New Year's card, not Mokankan's, the one we're working on today. But here's the final brush drawing. So I did it. It's just slightly bigger than A4. It's the traditional calligraphy size. So there's my brushwork. I touched up a few of these. I thought they were a bit thick, so I touched up a few of these, and I also straightened up some of the lines on the glider. I lost my driver's license that way once. What is this? This is a print, a little mini Nausicaa print I'm making for my Patreons for the New Year's print for my Ninga Jot. And I did make a little bit more progress, but I haven't really touched this since the day after. I carved all the lines and I cleared it, and I did some ice ski on this bit, but we're a long way off finishing. So you can see I draw them much bigger because it's easier, and then I shrink everything down. So that's that print on the way. We will get there one day. And then all weekend, this is what I've been working on. This is significantly larger. This is the project for Asuka Sensei. This is what I've spent my weekend and national holiday working on. It'd be nice to have a day off, but no rest for the wicked. Big block, yeah, it's very big. I've got to move things off the desk just to show it. So we got this last section here, which is quite dense. But yeah, we're still working on the dots. And then obviously we've got the back, which has many more thousands of dots. Many more thousands of dots. We have until the 8th, which means we've actually got until the 7th, because I've got to send it. Double-sided dots, yeah. So I've got to finish this by Wednesday, I think, if I'm going to have a chance to finish the other side. And then also clearing it. It's going to be tight. So my body's a little bit not in full fighting condition right now. I got a bit of back pain, and my thumb here is hurting a little bit strained. It might be a bit funny when I'm doing my pencil. What were we doing? Color separations. There's the print we're working on. We're going to need the light table. So let me just grab the light table, set that up. And of course, everything's within reach. I very rarely have to get up from this spot. Plug that in. Make sure we're all focused. I might try and keep the main pattern a little bit of a secret. Yeah, maybe I don't show you this file. Maybe I just take these two, because these ones are focused on the top of the block. And we'll leave the pattern as a surprise. Maybe we'll have to carve it on stream. Maybe we could avoid it. We'll see. Yeah, because we're missing a day this week as well. So let's just focus on these two first. And then perhaps on Friday you can see some of the other colours. Or maybe I can plan it. Be a bit sneaky with it. Let's start with the more complicated one. Not very complicated. Is it the one that Atelier Center designed? Yes. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to turn some lights off so I can see things correctly. So the stream might be a bit miserable, a little bit tricky to see today. I want to be working here. Well, let's just adjust the camera slightly. Here are our transfers. And occasionally you get some variation, like some of them will be printed crisper at the bottom, some will be printed crisper at the top. So you choose the color transfers you're going to do based on like which ones look clearest. You know, if you've blown some lines out here and they look kind of fat, you don't want to use this one for the top, you use this one for a section that's mostly on the bottom. But we're fine on any of these. Any of these can go for any of the colors. Keep them in the file. I'm going to start by tracing it with a pencil. Then I'll use what do you call it, fine liner. And finally we'll get the brushes out to colour everything in. Standard procedure. If you've watched any of my videos, you've seen me do this a lot. And let's see what it looks like with these lights off. Oh cool, you can see it gets a bit gloomy, I think, Shogunai, but we've got some nice spooky lights on my face. Line everything up. And I'm just going to check the finished version off camera. I just want to make sure if there are areas that need to line up with other color blocks, I need to be really careful about doing them. I think with both of these we're going to be okay. I don't really need to worry about any interactions. Yeah, so I can just, it doesn't matter how accurate I am with this, you know. So in all honesty, I can be kind of loose with it. Okay, let's go. Make sure everything's lined up. Nails, I can freehand them. Start over here. I'll keep this. Just pushing the leg down there. Nothing broke. So I'm kind of just roughing in the shapes here. I'm not trying to do it really accurately. I just need the position of everything. And then when I take it off, I can put the taste, that any lines have back in with the brush or with the fine liner. Oh, I shifted it. Good. Lightbox, yeah. So yeah, not much to report about the weekend. I had pizza one night. That's it. I basically just worked all weekend. It was a national holiday. I'm not sure what the national holiday was for, but Monday was also a national holiday. But with this work from Asuka Sensei, not much changed. I have made some decisions though. Poison person says same. Same what you didn't do much this weekend, or you had pizza. Ironically, the holiday was Labor Day. Very funny. We like a bit of irony here. So I've made some decisions and I've started making some moves. I spoke to Dave on Friday about this. Nothing's in stone yet, but I think I'm going to become a printer for a little while. I've been worried about the future. I've been worried about the future, yeah. I put some feelers out a little while ago about my bonsai. See if like I could convince. Oh, ad break ends in 45 seconds. Sorry. You're all in ads. Give me a second. Let me just wait for everyone to come back and then I'll do a little bit of this and then I can talk a little bit more after. So I put some feelers out and sort of hinted at some people that there's some work. Like if I have some work for you and I pay you like double what you're usually receiving from people, is there any way you could like do some personal projects for me? And basically everyone has been really coy and I basically got flat out no's from a lot of them. And so it really looks like it's not going to be possible to get other people to print it. I might get lucky here and there when the blocks are finished, like someone might just have enough time. But this is basically the story of my life moving forward now, that I'm always going to be struggling for printers. Mokankan's not really doing anything on there. I've tried to push for it, but the truth is Dave's not very interested in like the production side anymore. And with no subscription next year, there's not going to be much work for carvers. And so I put it on the table. Okay, let me train as a printer. I can be productive from day one, but start on easy stuff. I'm not starting from zero on printing. Obviously, I can print, but it's a very different thing doing a few prints versus doing a full production run printing. And I have a lot to learn, so it's a good opportunity for me. It's a good opportunity for Mokankan. They don't have enough printers. So for the next little while, there's a good chance that most of my work is going to be printing. The only issue now is actually there's not enough room upstairs in the printer's workshop. With Shibuya-san coming, Dei-chan's going to come back from her maternity at some point. And me and Ayumi-san, Ishikawa-san. There's only 4 benches, so I don't know how we're going to organize it. And unfortunately, I think, Dave's moving on and doing the renovation on that middle room. There's actually 2 little benches there for printers, so they're gone. It's going to be tricky. Win-win situation for him. Yeah. Thought the plan was to train the baby to print. I think we're a few years off there. There were ads while you were talking about the important stuff. Oh no. Do you decrease Mokankan carving time to make time for it? Yeah, it looks like I'll be doing maybe. I still want to keep on top of my carving because if you just stop, then like I'll get rusty. So I'll be working on larger projects, maybe 2-3 days a week, and then printing for the other 2 or 3 days a week, something like that. Sorry, I know nothing about Japanese woodblock printing, or much more in printing in general, but there are super big gaps in the skill set between carving and printing. Yeah, they're completely different disciplines. Carvers and printers, traditionally, they both train under different masters. There's 4 people who produce prints. There's a publisher, an artist, a carver, and a printer, and they're all separate jobs, different skill sets. Traditionally, you wouldn't be doing both, but in this day and age, it's tough if if unfortunately the current situation is that a lot of carvers have been trained various levels, and printers simply haven't been doing their job in training printers. And so we have a little bit of a tricky situation. There should ideally be like a minimum of 5 printers to each carver. To keep a carver busy and productive, he needs about 5 printers. And we're nowhere near to that ratio. It's maybe 2 to 1, but I don't even think it's that. It's closer to 1 to 1. Which is the worst case scenario. It's completely unsustainable. So if I want more printers in the future, either I'm printing myself or at least doing test printing myself so I can get the product to be like actually how I want it to look in the final picture. Either I'm doing test printing or I'm doing the whole thing. Or I have a possibility to train people in the future. Very fine, very fine pen. Yeah, 0.03. 0.03. Can I show you? 0.03. That's a lot of printers per carver. Yeah, you need them. Because printers don't work on a single print. They're like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks per print, but there's multiple designs. If you're starting off from zero with no blocks and no carvers, no printers, then sort of one-to-one works for maybe like 6 months to a year, and then it escalates really quickly and the printers either end up doing the same print, which is more stock than you actually need. I don't need to belabor the point. I think you guys get it. Is there a reason for tracing in pencil first? I would think that tracing directly with the pen would produce a more exact copy of the original. I've done that in the past, and the issue there is that while the lightbox makes it really clear, there are also lots of little flicks and stuff. Like right here, I don't know if you can even see it. I can zoom in. No, that's max. Right here, there's a little flick that you can't even see there, but there is a little flick on the top of this that you couldn't see just looking through. This paper's quite thick as well. When you cover that up, the detail you can see in these is really not that great. I can see the broad outlines. This is not something I learned. This is something this is the way I like to do it. Everyone does their tracing in a slightly different way. The other way to do it is just going straight with the brush. Mark everything out in the pencil and then get those flicks of the brush. But I find this is much more accurate. So I'm following on the lines, but I'm also like, oh, I'm off camera. I'm following the pencil lines and tracing them. I'm also adding little flicks and stuff here and there. If I was trying to get these to line up with other blocks, I might do things a little differently. But since these are standalone shapes, and the thing that's important is not actually their position, but just sort of the taste and the flavour of them. I was looking at the wrong dot there. It's kind of an existential problem for craft. It seems the industry has more or less fallen apart and has to reboot from the stem. Yeah, it's for me, it's existential. For the printers, they're okay. They've got, I mean, they could work for the rest of their lives without a carver. There's enough blocks sort of in and around, floating around in the system that I mean, there'd be no tailwind to their work. It'd just be ticking over, counting the clock down. But they'd have work. But for a carver without a printer, it's doomsday. It's doomsday. Initially, I was really against the idea of doing any printing. I wanted to be the best carver there is. Just like really focus on that and just become shit hot in that one thing. And I think probably it's because I used to be so scattered. I have lots of interests and hobbies and things I like to do. So when I was younger, I used to try things for like a couple of weeks, and once I like sort of got it, I get bored. It's the learning to do things I really enjoyed. But I think for the future, this is the way. Oh, the nails, the nails. Can you guys see? There are small lines as fingernails here, and I'm just going to extend the lines. So if you become a printer, it'll make you more independent in the future. Will you write it? Yeah, it means that whatever happens, if Mokankan crumbles, whatever happens there, like I'm fine. I can still make my own prints, and I like that feeling of security. I want to be able to do this, and if it means doing everything myself, but without me being able to print, um, let's say Mokankan fails tomorrow, like it's not really a life I want. I don't really. Yeah, it doesn't seem very bright. It's a tough life without that. Good evening from the other side of Eurasia. Hello. Hello, Kanton. What pen did you use? This is a Pigma Sakura Micron 0.03. I really like these are my favorite, but I don't have any in the 0.03. I couldn't find any of these. I can find 0.5, but 0.03 I don't see in the ones in these. You've got to be careful. I bought a bunch of other really fine ones. Where are they? I thought these were going to be great. Now these ones. I bought a bunch of these. I really like pens. I have lots and lots of different fine liners, especially. I really like. I like this. You see, but you've got to be careful. Some of them, they tend to bleed a lot. This is really, really sharp, and the tips are great. This is again a 0.03, I think. Oh no, it's a 0.05. 0.05 is it's fine as well. It's perfect. But this one is really, really nice. It doesn't bleed at all, this one. That's why I like it. But this one bleeds like crazy. If I put a line down, I can show you. Let me just do a dot here. Can you see? It's not bad on this paper. If you use standard Gampi, just like the stuff you paste on top, it really spreads a lot. It works on this paper. Interesting. So these work as well. I bought a bunch of them. I got like 3 or 5 because I thought they were going to be perfect. I jumped the gun on that. I I've got a lot of different fine liners. I've done a lot of testing. Yeah, all microns are great. The Sakura ones are peak. We're going to leave that for now. We'll get to the brushing later. I'm going to move on to the second. This is an easy one. So lights are going to go off again. Light on. There's just a bit of patterning in her hair here. Okay, so there is a slight bit of overlapping. There is one area that we need to be careful. Can you see here in her hair? If I move this away, you can see that there's 3 lines and a little bit of a gap here in the middle. Maybe you can't see it very easily. But there is a bit of a gap there. And on the last one, it creates a shadow on her face. So I covered that a bit. So this one I'll have to, on the hair, come a little bit lower, just so I make sure there's a bit of an overlap. And I can check that against the other print in a second. You can see the patterning in the paper I was talking about, the waves on the back. Can you see the waves here now? It looks like when it was placed in, water came from underneath and pushed the paper a little bit. Bit careless with the suit. Trending towards Sosaka Hanga. Well, I don't think it'll ever... Sosaka Hanga is more than just... It's not just a person who makes prints by themselves. It's the whole ethic behind it. Nice and quick. So I don't know if I'd call it Sosaka Hanga if I'm... Like on the bonsai one, if I print that myself, technically that would be carved, printed, and painted by me. So you probably call that Sosaka Hanga, although I probably wouldn't. That's what I need. Although there's arguments to be made both ways. Like, how many of you would call Dave a Sosaka Mokuhanga artist? I think probably very few of you. Have you done calligraphy or no? Yeah, I trained in calligraphy for a few years. I still practice every now and again. Honestly, not as much as I should. He's done some of that. Are you saying about Dave doing Sosaka Hanga? His solitudes and stuff? I don't think he'd call it Sosaka Hanga, you know. All good. It's not me bashing on Sosakanga. It's a. I think the ethic behind it, the images that are created, it's Sosaku means creative. It means not doing things really in the traditional way. It's like mixing up and doing things differently. So I guess in a way, the Solitudes could be called that because it was. Was it the Solitudes or a different print? What was the one he did with um stones that with the CNC and stuff? That's like I think that's more in the vein of Sosaku. But if it's being produced by someone who is like classically trained, I think it's difficult to call it Sosakahanga. They're the photographic ones. Yeah. I know which ones they are, but I thought maybe those were also done with the. They weren't. No, he hand carved them. Jisakuhanga? I don't know. I think I'd call it something new. I'd come up with like a new word. It's like the new, not like the new version of Shinhanga. A few names have been put out. What are the names? Gendai hanga, like contemporary prints, or neo hanga. Neo kyo is another one people are trying to put out. I think I'd call it like Gendai, Gento, like a combination of Dento and Gendai. Gendai. Gento. Oh, Genden. Yeah, I wrote one down actually. Gendai and Dento. I wrote this one down a little while ago as an idea for that. Can you see it? Genden Hanga as a potential name for the kind of thing we're talking about. Gendai meaning contemporary, like the way things have to be produced now because of the situation we're in. Sort of modern prints, done with the ethic of a traditional craft. I think it's a little bit different, you know. It's a new kettle of fish. Classically, training doesn't prevent someone from doing a new form. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's not exactly what I'm saying. What do I want to? This is not me bashing Sosokahanga, but the standard is like 90% of the time. There's a different standard, particularly in the carving. The carving, especially, people can get really good at printing, and they often do. But when you're splitting your focus across different disciplines, like it was a big consideration for me. The reason I didn't want to do it is because I wanted to be really, really good at carving. But if you split up your focus across carving, printing, and then also getting better at drawing and stuff, your focus is divided, and something has to give. Like something has to give. Maybe I should move this. So obviously, by necessity, there is a difference in technique. Gaijin Nanga, I don't like that. My mouse is struggling with the connection. I can't read the comments. The Sosakanga, I think, prints made by amateurs. Yeah, that's where your brain goes. But like, there are a lot of professional, non-amateur Sosakanga makers. Everyone starts as an amateur, obviously. It feels different somehow, yeah. But even if like you've got a professional Sosakanga artist, I think there's still another layer between like dento hanga, like traditional carving, versus Sosaka hanga artist who carves. I think there's a difference. And it maybe not it's not about the carving, and maybe it's not about the printing, maybe it's not about the art, but like there is something that's different. The other thing is very few of these people were trained by traditional carvers or printers, and so even if the results look very similar, the way they go about it would be very different. So I think even if they're both professionals, there's still a difference there. There's only so much time and energy. Yeah, exactly. Am I saying it has to be reactionary or contrary? No, I'm not. You mean with the name, with the traditional and contemporary? No, that's not what I was getting at. The mood was more about the fact that trying to do things to the highest level you can using the traditional techniques, not because they're traditional, but because they are the things that have been developed over a long time to give you the best results, and also placing it in time. Sturgeon's law says that 90% of everything is crap. I've not heard of Sturgeon before. The good books. I'm looking for new books, new suggestions, including him. Okay, so maybe he's not. Maybe he's not that good. We've got some debate in the chat. Okay, let's get painting. I'm using here. This is a poster paint. This is a carmine, and I'm taking some. It's all dried. You can see in there. So I'm taking a bit of that, and I'm mixing it with some water. And then what I like to do is dab it on some paper, because I feel like you get too much water if you go straight in. And we'll see how the density is. You might need to make it thicker. No, that's about right. The reason I like to dab it here, even after every time I dip it in the ink here, I always dab it on the paper, because the brush absorbs way too much liquid. This one. This one is just the side of the pillar. Books, if you're into history, Ian W. Toll's Pacific War trilogy. Just finished it and it's fantastic. Only like 23,000. Oh no, 2,300 pages. Just put a chili Renelo. Releno. I've never heard of Releno. What's Releno? Sorry for being rude lately. When were you rude? Maybe I'm too dim to realise. Oh, you mean for not being fully in the stream? You've been busy with other stuff. I miss having an oven, you know. I think we're good there. Any mistakes? Can anyone spot any differences? I think we're okay here, right? Reheno. Reheno. What are you using to highlight that? It's called Nika Poster Color. It's the story of Shackleton's ill-fated trip. Oh, okay, that's maybe more my speed. Stuffed poblano. There's another word I don't know. Poblano. What's a poblano pepper? It's delicious. I'll have to. I'll do some research. I'll figure out what it is. Ah, okay, Mexican. I thought it was Italian. Mexican. We don't have much Mexican in the UK, you know, especially in Wales. I don't think there's a single Mexican restaurant in Wales. There is a very, very good Mexican next to my old house. I'll show you the t-shirt. I got the t-shirt from their shop. Really, really cool people. Okay, let's do this. You just lost all your Italian viewers. It's a good thing we changed the time then, isn't it? Most of them are in bed. I would like to go to Italy. My sister was an au pair in Italy. She did it. Where was it? In Puglia? Puglia? In the heel of the boot down there, really nice and warm. She really loved it. We need to get them to visit. Buy me a ticket or set up an event. I'll come and teach carving in Italy any day. I only fly first class though, just so you know. Skip that one. Okay. What's this saying? Best olive oil is from there. Well, Puglia. We're talking Texas, Darren. Trying to find a restaurant with the TVs in Spanish, so I can work on my pronunciation. A bit dark. Is it nun's habit or hair? It's hair. You can see there's a hair streak of hair here. It all makes sense in the render. Yeah, so with me beginning my journey in printing, I'll need to get some baren. So they're very expensive. So I'm going to see if we can get some ordered. I think Goto-san, they've mentioned that the latest time estimation for how long it's going to take to make barons if you place an order now is 2 years. For the time being, I'll be working mostly at Mokohankan, but I am planning to make a setup here because I know it's going to be tricky with the number of people trying to work in that room, that maybe sometimes I'll want to be doing some printing at home. As much as possible, it'd be nice to be around other printers so I can sort of suck up knowledge from them, but I think it is going to be inevitable that sometimes I'm going to have to work at home. And I also want my own home studio. It'll be easier to make my Patreon prints and stuff like that. So as soon as I'm done with this thing for Asuka Sensei, I'm going to go over and get some powder pigments. I've been using tubes until now because I really don't print enough to justify like setting up jars and stuff. And if I'm doing like batches, I've been going to Asuka Sensei's. because I don't have the barons and stuff to do it here. So I'm seeing if Dave can help me put forward the money, because we're talking like, I don't know, 175 was that baron I just showed you there. I don't know what that is in dollars or whatever money you guys are using, but that one, 175,000 yen, which is a lot for a single baron, and I need like 4. So I put it to Dave that could I perhaps get a loan for barons and then pay you back out of my salary over the course of a year or 2. Yeah, this is the thing. This is what I said as well. I got quoted a year for that Jizumi Baren, and I was quoted a year, and it came in 6 months. So I'm gonna put in an order for 3 or 4, and these won't be Mokankan barons. These will be Mokankan will buy them initially, and I'll slowly pay off the debt over the next year or so. I think we're good. Ah, little corner. And the top. Just colour that in. Can anyone spot the difference? It's difficult to line them up. Let me look through the chat while you guys are trying to find any mistakes. You could get Murasaki barons faster, maybe. Yeah, I have a thing about buying things multiple times. If I know that in the future I'm going to want Honbaren, but I don't have enough money for Honbaren now, I'm not going to buy a cheaper option, which means that I'm going to end up spending more in the long run because I'm going to have to get both. I probably will need I have a Murasaki Baron. I have 2 actually. And I have a Honbaren. They're not really going to be useful about from anything for wide areas. There are princes in town that use Honbaren, Murasaki Baren for large color areas. How high is the Baron demand for Barons these days? Apparently quite high, since he's got a 2-year waiting list on it. He's the only guy in town really doing it, so yeah. It's people around the globe. Anyone who wants a Honbaren, they go to Goto-san. I sold my Charles Brand press and used the proceeds to buy 2. Yeah, they're expensive. I shouldn't have spoken to any of you. Let me get my order in first. I actually really need them pretty sharpish. There are other ones as well. I forget what he calls them. There's the ones with the wooden backs on them that don't, because the Atagami, let me show you. Let me get this in the sheath first. The Atagami here, this is made of washi, 1 layer each day, 50 layers on a mold, and it's made of washi. He does have another range which are made from, it's not poplar, it's some kind of wood he uses to make the back. The coil is the same inside, it's still hand woven coil, but the Atagami is one of the things that takes, well, everything takes a long time. But yeah, he has a slightly cheaper version, which apparently they have a few of them upstairs in Mokwankan, and quite a few people are using them. Well, they're in use. They're in the rotation a lot. What time are we on? What time are we on? Where's my phone? 10 minutes. Do we start another one or do we just paste them? Yeah, the Murasakis, even if you get the softer ones, they're still kind of hard. So the coil is definitely the important bit. For sure. The coil is the important bit. Paste it. Yeah, I don't think we have time. Let's get rid of this. Put this back in its bag. Paste it down. Now I need to save the best block. Let me zoom out. I need to save the best block for the wide color areas. So let's just take a quick look through all of these. You'll see they're slightly different sizes because some of them have quite thick wood and some of them have quite thin pieces. This is about 3 mils and this is about 6, I think, so the sizes are a little bit different. This is a nice smooth one for color blocks. It's a bit of a knot there. Oh Jesus, it's not even going to fit. That one's way too small. Get away. Okay, I'm gonna leave this one for now. I might need to add a block on the outside of this. Not exactly Soto Kento, outside Kento, but we'll take another piece of block and glue it on the side here so I can place registrations if I want to use that. It is a nice smooth piece, but I think it's too small, you know. Unless the design is like not going towards this end. I don't think any of them are like that. The hair one could work for that. Let's eliminate that one for now. I only need 2 of these blocks. I want to choose one that's got a good face either side. You can see here that there was some really deep grooves on this one. Can you see that? And it was actually just on the outside, but this was always going to be used as waste. So these little striations here, I left them because I got everything else really flat, and I'd have had to take off, like, I don't know, some fractions of a millimeter. I'd have to go quite deep to get rid of those, but they were just on the outside, so I left them. Anyway, we're looking for a piece. We're looking for 4 pieces, actually, 2 sides. We got these 2 we just made. I can fit that. This is quite a smooth one. This is quite smooth, but it has got some definite streaks here. This will make it difficult to print really, really flat. You can see these hard lines in the grain here. There's a chance that they'll show up. Something like this is what we want. That's pretty smooth. That could maybe go. But again, these green lines as well, that is a little bit worrying. There will be 2 colours on that corner. It's on the outside corner, so it'll be up here. Decisions. This one could work. Hair can go on there. Kitty, kitty. They might all need outside registration marks. You know, I might not be able to cut them. It's really tight, you know. What is that? It's about 4 millimeters, isn't it? 5. We could do 5 millimeter registration there. Just the same as my New Year's card one. Wood glue or nori? We'll be using Yamato nori. These don't need a strong. I might put a touch of wood glue in there, but probably not. Yeah, lots of people making their own prints and selling them here. Okay, don't want to leave these out for too long. So this is a definite block. We'll be using that. It's actually the other two registration. Do you know what? I might leave it. We might. How long have we got? 5 minutes. We can do a little show and tell, or we can do a bit of ice ski work on the other block. I'm going to do these 2 blocks, but I do want to produce the other 2 color separations first. I think I'll be using this one and this one for the wide, but I'll have to. There's a bit of a pattern that curves like this. There's your hint. There's a bit of a pattern that curves like this. So if it lines up, it might be reversed. I think we can maybe avoid. It's not going to hit like that. That's not going to work. I think it'll have to be that and that, which means that those 2 I just made will be on this and this. That'll be for the hair because of all the spotting. It doesn't matter if we got a bit of a rough piece of wood for that. And this one, but it looks hard. Not that bad. Yeah. That one's quite hard. The smoothest one, but it might be the hardest piece. And this one's perfect for colour. If I can avoid the bits here, the thing is, because these blocks are so small, I'm going to really struggle. There's no wiggle room I have in these blocks because they're exactly the size of the prints plus 5 millimeters. No way we get a show and tell. I haven't actually planned anything. Maybe we could do this. I could show you a print. Ah, okay. I do have a little. I do have another little something. I bought something. This is the crappiest show and tell ever. This one's really small. Okay. Just close that. Does anyone know what these are? Can anyone guess? Strings, yeah, correct. These are strings. These are strings for, what's it called? It's a specific type of shamisen. What's it called? The guy who does Tokyo Lens, what's the type of shamisen he plays? It's like a bassier shamisen. Anyway, it's strings for that type of shamisen. Actually, all I need is this one. This is the gauge I need. For what? For what? Does anyone know? Ice ski, correct. Yeah. These are for tying off my ice ski. I can grab one of them. I actually only needed this gauge, but I couldn't find just this one. Let's take this one. This is the largest. I still haven't had a chance to work on these. I will work on them at some point. But these will have to wrap around here to hold them. I found some fancy black ones. I probably could have found the correct gauge if I was just looking at any old. Ideally, they'd be used shamisen ito, because they will stretch a little bit over time. They'll like slacken off. How often do you need to wrap these? Not very often. I guess it's like maybe 5 sharpenings or something like that. And then you need to pull the blade out slightly, but no, probably more than that, you know. You don't need to pull them out very often, but when you do, it's not that difficult. I don't know what the name of the knot would be, but it's a knot that's often used in sailing and camping. What would you call it? Maybe I did. I'm looking to make some stickers based on how to tie these. And this is basically the knot. So it's a hidden fastening knot. You put this underneath and you start to wrap, and then you pull it from the bottom. Sailor's knot, yeah, it's got a proper name though, I can't remember. Anyway, and then you pull it and you cut the string and the knot is stuck inside. This is basically how it does. I'll be doing a sticker based on this design. That's why I have an image of it. But yeah, I think this is the gauge I'll go with. This one's too thick, and these are just crappy nylon. This is silk. So not much of a show and tell, a bit boring of a show and tell. As soon as we finish this project for Asuka Sensei, and we can get this year done, I can start working on bringing you
Talking too much.
I can work on bringing you some cool content, and I can plan the streams a little bit better. But at the moment, my life's in chaos. Talking too much, innit? はい。ごめん。もう時間になった。Chaos is fun. Yes. 皆さん、ありがとうございます。
とてもサンキュー。
Ginkaman, copyright. I was looking forward for your sharpening stream or vid the other day and couldn't find it's still on Patreon somewhere. I don't think I've done a sharpening stream. It should be on my, if you go to Ginkgo Proofs on YouTube. Can someone type it in? I don't have a keyboard here. There should be a command for the YouTube. I think it's archive, !archive. You should be able to find it. There you go. Thank you, Chicken Meister, always on the ball. Arigato. Today was fun. I'm gonna get busy making those other two, and then I will paste them down later today. Maybe on Friday we'll see me still carving, but I think I can probably finish them before then. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you on Friday. Arigato.